multiple myeloma cancer. And the doctor said I had like this long to live and go to get my things together. And, you know, obviously doctors can't always be right, so I'm still here.
I had you on my radio show a week ago, and there's something that really affected me. And you said that when you get that news, even though that here you're bringing and helping people, introducing them to Christ, here you're at this point, and you're in the middle of a storm. You can't see land, and you use the analogy that I'll let you explain. When people are going through something like that, it's like they're going through this hurricane.
Yeah, you know, I think everybody expects, especially if you're a believer and you're a Christian, that you're supposed to have this immediate victory and have some sort of answer that's going to conquer all your circumstances. And if you're not, then there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your faith. I used to live in Daytona Beach, and there was a hurricane that hit Daytona Beach, and I'd never seen a hurricane before. And so everybody evacuated town, and I stayed. And I was in this condo, it was kind of up high, and I thought, well, you know, what's going to happen to the condo? I mean, they got to blow the whole condo in the ocean, right? So I stayed, and I was getting ready to think, well, maybe I should go get something to eat, you know, so I'll have something to eat. And I was looking at this Chinese restaurant, and I was seeing if it was open, and as I was watching, I saw a palm tree go down the road. And I saw cars moving this way, and I saw all sorts of debris flying back and forth. And I just had this picture in my mind. What if I would have gone out there and tried to get some Chinese food right in the middle of all that? I mean, I would have grabbed the pole, I would have hung on, and my feet would have been flying in the wind. And then I had this whole thing pictured out. CNN would have come out, they would have took a video of this guy hanging onto a pole, his feet flying, all over the country would be cheering, hang on, hang on. You know, I just had this whole thing pictured out. And then I thought, you know, it would have took, if I would have made it through there, I would have been applauded as a hero. But all I was doing was hanging on through a storm. It takes a lot of strength to hang on while everything's going wrong, when everything's going crazy around you. Never underestimate the strength that it takes to just hang on and maintain until the storm passes. Because the storms, they come, and as suddenly as they come, that's as suddenly as they go. And I encourage anybody who's going through a storm, use all the strength that you've got. Hang on until the storm passes, because it will pass, and at the end of it, you will be a hero.
So after we were talking, you were getting yourself in shape and walking, you're in the desert, in the hot weather right now, and you really want to get your health back. And then Kim introduced you to our product, Zeal, and you started to feel better. And now you're at a point where, I mean, you're building muscle, you're feeling good. Can you tell me on how the Zeal for Life Challenge has just maybe got into your head and into your mind or your being in a way?
Well, you know, everybody needs a challenge to get from one point to the next. And going through cancer, going through 8 months of chemotherapy, I mean, it knocks you out. And you think you're going to do all these things during those 8 months and learn another language. But in Italian, they call it ubats, when you're just a little crazy, you know? So here I am, I'm laying in bed, and I got this chemo stuff inside of me. You're just half doped up. You're not learning anything. You're hanging on, you know? And I figure once this thing is through, then I'll start to build, but it takes a year or two. And it just started to the point where now I can, you know, I can jog and I can start lifting weights. You've been helping me with that. Put me on a program, which hurt my shoulders, but that's okay. Wasn't as much muscle memory as I remember, I guess. But you know, I'm back and I'm lifting again, and I think everybody needs a challenge, you know, and You got to find that thing in your life that makes you want to press forward, because ultimately it takes a decision of you. When I was diagnosed, I just assumed that was it. And it was time to go. And I had done my work. I had led as many people to the Lord as I possibly could. And you know, in music, you know, you get a little older, and your records don't sell as much, and they're not as fascinated with you, and blah, blah, blah. You go through all that. You figure, well, this is my time. Everybody went through it. And it was time to check out. The only thing that would reactivate me is if I knew that I could make music again and tour again, because that was my sense of purpose. And as soon as I uttered those words from my mouth, you'd be surprised how important the creative words are that you speak, especially to yourself. Because it's the only thing that would keep me going is if I had something to do. And when I say something to do, I mean I had music, I could start making music again. An old friend within a few days called me up, an attorney from the 90s, and he says, you ought to record again. I said, well, I was just thinking that to myself. He says, I got an idea on how to raise money, and he went through all this thing, and then next thing I know, I was back in the studio, and I thought, well, here I am back in the studio, and I want to tour, but if I'm going to tour, I got to be alive. So I decided I was going to go through what I had to go through, but it all started with a decision. It all started with saying, this is what I got to do. And then going ahead and find that button in your life that needs to be pushed, that you say it, and then as you say it, that's the beginning of how you start your life. Set yourself a goal, and then allow God and allow the people God sends your way to help you achieve that goal.
Before we get you, and I'll talk later with you, but how can people reach you on Facebook just so that they could follow you and find out what you're doing with music?
Well, I got this big long last name, and it's a Carmen, C-A-R-M-A-N, and then the last name is L-I-C-C-I-A-R-D-E-L-L-O, Licordello, actually. It's pronounced Licordello. If you're going to say it right, but it's Carmen Licordello. It's on Facebook. There's a few phony ones out there, but this one has like close to 400,000 friends, so you'll know that that's me. We post on there all the time about what we're doing, and I've been out touring for a year and a half. And God has used all these things to kind of resurrect it, you know, and I take Zeal, but I don't take it at midnight.
Good.
So if you take Zeal at midnight, you'll be running stairs at 4 a.m.
Well, I just want to thank you for taking the time, for investing the time, for believing and coming here. And I mentioned to Carmen, we're going to do a Peter's Principles International TV show. So look for it in the fall. It'll be Life After Cancer, and it'll be pretty incredible. So please give him a round of applause.